Here is the NFL Iceberg. Jimmy Hoffa's remains. Jimmy Hoffa was an American labor union leader who served as the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, or IBT, from 1957 until 1971. Hoffa became involved with organized crime from the early years of his Teamsters work, a connection that continued all throughout his life. He was convicted of jury tampering, attempted bribery, conspiracy, and mail and wire fraud in 1964. He was imprisoned in 1967 and sentenced to 13 years in prison. Hoffa would disappear on July 30th, 1975. It is generally accepted that he was murdered by the mafia, and in 1982, he was officially declared legally dead. Hoffa's legacy and the circumstances of his disappearance continue to stir debate to this day. So, how does this relate back to football? While it's understood that Hoffa was likely whacked by the mob, the question remains as to what happened to his body, as it was never found. There is an urban legend that his body was buried in the west end zone of Giants Stadium. The rumor was started by a self-described mob hitman who joked that he was buried there in an interview with Playboy magazine. While Hoffa was known to be a Giants fan and attended every game, it is unknown what truly happened to his remains, so the urban legend persists. The rumors were put to rest after the Giants Stadium was demolished in 2010.
Whoa! What the hell?
NFL hid CTE. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. I probably should have Googled how it's pronounced before I started recording, but we're just going to continue on. Anyway, CTE is a progressive and fatal brain disease associated with repeated traumatic brain injuries, including concussions and repeated blows to the head. Unfortunately, this makes it very likely for NFL players to develop CTE later on in their lives. It is well known that the NFL has tried to downplay the significance of CTE and its link to football. In 2002, an autopsy was performed in Pittsburgh on Steelers Hall of Fame center Mike Webster shortly after he had removed himself from existence. The forensic scientist, Dr. Bennett Omalu, had made alarming discoveries when examining Webster's brain, and he would later go on to write a paper about it in 2005. The NFL had a long history of dismissing the significance of concussions, forming a committee in the early 1990s made just to push disinformation on the topic. The Traumatic Brain Injury Committee, or MTBI, would publish their own research to downplay the severity of concussions. And after Omalu's paper was published, the MTBI pushed to have the paper retracted. Omalu and his co-authors beat the attempt at retraction, and instead, Omalu's second paper would be published, which found CTE in the brain of former Steelers offensive lineman Terry Long. But the NFL continued to attack Omalu's work, saying it's not appropriate science and that his work was purely speculative. This battle would continue up until 2007 when Roger Goodell took over as NFL commissioner. A concussion summit was later held. However, Omalu would not be invited as the NFL continued to try and blackball his studies. After years of fighting, the NFL pretty much had no choice but to accept the research as valid, and the MTBI was later disbanded. A lot of this story is documented very well in the 2015 film Concussion. Chuck Hughes. So I didn't want to cover too much death because I didn't want this iceberg to be sad. So I avoided topics like Sean Taylor. However, this one was particularly interesting, so here we go. Chuck Hughes was an NFL wide receiver who played from 1967 to 1971. He had played for both the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions. To this day, he is the only player to have tragically lost their life on the field. The circumstances of his death are very unfortunate. Hughes had suffered an injury in an August 1971 preseason game against the Buffalo Bills, which led him to collapsing in the locker room. He was hospitalized, but doctors were unable to diagnose what was wrong, and suspecting that it was just a spleen injury, he would be released, despite never fully recovering. On October 24, 1971, the Lions hosted the Chicago Bears at Tiger Stadium. Late in the fourth quarter, Hughes would catch a 32-yard pass in the game and eventually get tackled. 3 plays later, while beginning to walk back to the huddle, Hughes would collapse to the ground and begin to convulse. He was rushed to the hospital and was pronounced dead a few hours later. After examining Hughes, it was revealed that he had been suffering from an undiagnosed and advanced form of arteriosclerosis, which basically means one of his coronary arteries was 75% blocked, and that he had a family history of heart disease as well. It was a very tragic incident that to this day is the only death to have happened on the field. What's crazy to me is that the NFL forced them to finish the game shortly after fans had just witnessed a death happen in real time on the field. That's insane. We've seen many horrifying injuries, but never something like this. And anyway, I hope he rests in peace, and I wish his family the best. Hidden PED results. There isn't much to this one. Most people know that pro athletes are taking the legal possible amount of performance-enhancing substances that they can get away with. This is a theory from many fans that because the NFL isn't transparent with their PED results, that there might be some results that they hide intentionally. Some people think certain star players may not pass their PED tests, but the NFL won't go public with it due to the players being a big money revenue for them. They'd want them to play for ratings, as well as avoiding controversy with steroids and shattering the league's popularity. There is no known instances of this. This is mainly just a very deep theory from NFL fans. And finally, we have the script. The script is pretty much referred to mostly as a joke in the NFL community. This theory is that all of the NFL is entirely scripted. Every win, every loss, every storyline, every Super Bowl champion, every MVP, every play is already pre-planned to happen before even the start of the season. Meaning all of the players, coaches, officials are all in on this conspiracy, and nothing in the league happens without it happening according to the script. It's all completely staged with the purposes of emphasizing storylines like the WWE or the Harlem Globetrotters. So yeah, we have all been fooled. Well, there you guys go. That was the whole comprehensive NFL iceberg. I hope you enjoyed going on this journey with me. I certainly had a lot of fun. I really enjoy this format and would like to make more videos like this, so if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot to me if you could like it, and if you enjoy this channel, consider subscribing. You won't be disappointed. Well, that's all I have for you now, so I hope to see you again. It has been a pleasure.